bros, we got some crazy news going on with Sony this week. But before we dive into that, what's up? I'm Rings with Ringleaders Gaming. This is your home for gaming news and game reviews. So if you enjoy the content, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Or, we can save that to the end. Anyway, on to today's topic. I got two stories for y'all today. One from Bloomberg and one from Tom's Hardware Guide. One is about Sony's obsession with big blockbuster titles, and the other one is about a possible Game Pass competitor. If you're like me, every once in a while, you kind of like to poke fun at console fanboys. Whether you're a Sony pony, or an Xbot, or a Nintendo drone. I actually just learned that one. We should just look up the definition just for the hell of it. Hold on. Nintendo drone, a slavish supporter of Nintendo's video games or consoles. The word slavish made it funny. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because when you're on Twitter, you see a lot of people complaining, saying they don't want things like Game Pass, saying that, saying things like to boycott Game Pass because they don't want any type of, competition or something. They think that it'll ruin gaming as is because they don't want services, etc., etc. But the reality of it is Sony never really had a competitor. Really, I think a lot of people have this misconception that if you get an Xbox, you have to get Game Pass. Well, that's not true. And the same for PlayStation. If they come out with a Game Pass competitor, it's just going to be another option. Well, anyway, this report comes from Tom's Guide. God of War creator David Jaffe, I'm not sure how to say his name, who is a creator of God of War and a former PlayStation employee, stated in a video published on his YouTube channel that Sony could be working on a counterpunch to Game Pass. He also stated further that I've said time and time again that people who are writing Jim Ryan's obituary are way premature. What I can tell you is I know they are doing some stuff because I know people at Sony who have told me that they are doing some stuff. He continued. There will be a response to Game Pass. What it is, we don't know yet. I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure a company like Sony would be working on something to compete with Game Pass, but just the way that he responded, it seems like either one of two responses. It's that friend that says that they know something, but then they really don't. So when you question them, they can't give you anything. And that makes you feel like even more that they don't know what they're talking about. Or option B, he really does know what he's talking about because he probably has friends that are still working with Sony and they could give him some information that says, hey, we're actually working on a competitor to Game Pass. Either way, I want to say take it with a grain of salt, but it could be true. I mean, recently didn't they just add some games to PS Now? Like Avengers and Borderlands 3? I mean, at the end of the day, what companies want is subscriptions. That's where the money is. The money is not in the console. The money is in reoccurring payments. What can they sell you to make a reoccurring money? Either way, a product like this possibly coming to the market is a good sign to a degree because it creates competition and another way for people to purchase into the system so that they can actually afford to play the games. Either way, tell me what you think in the comments below. How do you feel? How would you feel if Sony released a Game Pass competitor? Would you actually gloat and be happy about it? Or would you be the same people that complained about not wanting a service like that because it wasn't available, and then when the service becomes available, you're now on that team? Don't be a fanboy. Don't be a fanboy. Our next story comes from a lot of weird places. This one's from Bloomberg, right? I don't know if you recently heard the news, but there's a rumor that Sony is going to be remaking Last of Us. Not remastering, which is basically keeping the old assets, but kind of upgrading the look and things like that to make it look a lot more high-end for newer consoles and more powerful consoles. No, they're actually going to remake this game for PS5, which means this is essentially going to be a brand new game that they've released for the third time. This decision has kind of made people question Sony and wonder if there's some turmoil or something kind of going on the inside that's messing up what the company is doing, considering that they pretty much ran the game last console season. And again, this story is coming from Bloomberg, and it's entitled, Sony's obsession with blockbusters is stirring unrest within PlayStation Empire. Now, based off the title alone, you can kind of understand why people were getting mad, I guess, to a degree, about a third release of the original Last of Us. It's almost like Naughty Dog is kind of becoming the Last of Us Studios, and they're not Naughty Dog anymore. Not only that, it kind of also sounds like Sony's becoming comfortable with the titles that they've made. Last of Us is a comfortable title that they think will sell. And they just keep remaking the same game, or remastering and remaking the same game, instead of coming up with something new. Coming up with something new is a risk. It could not sell. I mean, look at Days Gone. A lot of people were complaining about that game. Bugs, the story was weak, etc., etc. With that being said, I'm pretty sure that makes Sony just a little bit cautious on whether they want to take on new titles or come out with new IPs. Anyway, back to the story. Michael Momber, who took over direction of the Visual Arts Service Group in 2007, recruited a group of about 30 developers internally and from neighboring studios to form a new development unit within Sony. The idea was to expand upon some of the company's most successful franchises, and the team began working on a remake of the 2013 Last of Us for the PlayStation 5. But Sony never fully acknowledged the team's existence or gave them the funding and support needed to succeed in a highly competitive video game market, according to the people involved. The studio never even got its own name. Instead, Sony moved ownership of the Last of Us remake to its original creator, Naughty Dog, a Sony-owned studio behind many of the company's best-selling games and an HBO television series in development. The Japanese conglomerate owns about a dozen studios across the world as part of its PlayStation Studio labels, but in recent years, it has prioritized games made by its most successful developers. Studios such as Naughty Dog and Amsterdam-based Guerrilla Games spend tens of millions of dollars to make games with the expectation that the investments will pay off exponentially. So basically, even though they have 12 studios, they've been spending all of their time and money on the main studios that make the biggest games only, and figuring out how to resell and rehash those same titles for the consoles, whether it's through remasters or planned remakes. I personally don't know how to feel about that, but if you want to buy the same game 3-4 times over, I guess that's totally on you. Do I think that's a move that the industry needs to move forward? No. Because all the time that they would spend making remakes and remasters, they could just be making new games. The fixation on teams that churn out hits is creating unrest across Sony's portfolio of game studios. Emphasizing big hits can also be counterproductive because sometimes games that start small can turn into massive success. In 2020, Sony didn't put much marketing muscle behind the quirky video game creation system Dreams by the PlayStation-owned Media Molecule in the UK. As a result, PlayStation may have missed out on its own version of Roblox, a similar video game tool. Parent company, you know, that kind of reminds me of this one game that came out on Xbox. I think it was Xbox One. It was called Spark. I think that game had a lot of potential because it was basically the same thing. People can make storylines, games inside of a game using the creation tools, all kinds of things, and it had a lot of potential, but it shut down a while ago. I feel like there's a lot of titles that these companies could have made into big things, especially with the success of games like Minecraft. And these could have been just more options for us to play. But I mean, what can you do? There probably wasn't a lot of hype behind these titles, so they just went ahead and got rid of it. I mean, but they also didn't advertise it, so. Back in 2019, Sony was going through a management shuffle, and the new boss wasn't impressed. Herman Hulst, the former lead of Guerrilla Games, was named head of PlayStation's worldwide studios in November of 2019. He thought the remake project was too expensive, according to people familiar with the matter, and asked why the planned budget for project was so much higher than remakes Sony had made in the past. The reason was this one was on brand with a new graphical engine for the PlayStation 5. Mombauer needed to hire more people to help rework the graphics on new technology as well as redesign gameplay mechanics. It seems like a lot's been going on with Sony with the last couple of years. A lot of things in secret that we weren't aware of. Let me correct myself. That maybe just the general public or your average gamer weren't aware of, such as, Management Shuffle, Last of Us remakes for the PlayStation 5 before we even knew that the PlayStation 5 existed, Sony shifting some of their other studios around to mainly become the help for their bigger studios with bigger blockbusters such as God of War and The Last of Us and Uncharted. And who knows what other plans that they could have had. They could have known months and months ago that they were going to shut down their own stores. They could have known about all this stuff previously, and we're just finding out at the last minute. All I know is there's a lot of craziness going on within Sony right now. It's reworking and rehiring and moving weights and all. I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if y'all know what's going on. And I don't know if we're going to know until the end of this. We're going to have to hop in the roller coaster, strap our seats down, and see where it ends up. I'm pretty sure a lot of people trust Sony, so they'll just ride the waves of negative and positive news. But we're just going to have to see. They may decide to go toe-to-toe with Microsoft and compete on every single product lane. And they may win this if they can get that together and then still provide quality exclusives. They may provide an even better service. Though I doubt it, because I doubt they're going to put all their first day exclusives on PC. Oh man, that would get the Sony ponies riled up. Either way, more competition is better for us. Give us more options to play these games. Anyway, what do y'all think about what's going on with Sony? If you have any idea, just let me know in the comments below. We're trying to figure out if Jim Ryan is smoking crack or what. Anyway, this is Informal Gaming News with your boy Rings. I enjoyed it. I'll be back with some Nintendo news and some Xbox news. If you enjoy the content, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. And with that being said, peace. Rings out.